Hi guys. Well, yeah, I'm making another Mandalorian video because a couple of weeks ago I made a video and said I just watched the worst episode of The Mandalorian. Well, I take it back because they've actually managed to make a worst episode of The Mandalorian. By the way, as you can see, I've got my Star Wars Celebration hat here. I am going on Saturday and I've actually managed to get into a streaming panel for the Ahsoka show, so hopefully I'll get to see the trailer and everything. And fingers crossed it's going to be better than this season of The Mandalorian, that's for sure. Because, yeah, really disappointed. Bit disappointed with this hat as well, a little bit small for me. So I'm going to be wearing my Empire hat. Because that fits my head much better. So, my issues with the show are that basically there was a lot of promise with this show, with the Darksaber. And who could be leading the clans of Mandalore, and it just hasn't panned out that way. It's sort of there, comes and goes, that story, but it doesn't really get the ball rolling, and then instead we keep going off onto other things with that take up most of the time: space pirates, Doctor Pershing, and now in this episode, Bo-Katan. I really enjoyed last week's episode. Didn't make a video about it, so maybe I only make videos when I'm moaning and complaining. But in the last episode, I actually felt like things were really getting the ball moving along, and Bo-Katan was going off to unite the clans, and I thought, yeah, great, here we go. And it was looking like it. She was about to land on the planet and meet up with her old clan, and what happens? The autopilot kicks in and she gets taken off on a side mission with Din Djarin. And I don't know, they turn up on this place. The whole city thing kind of reminded me a little bit of Logan's Run. I don't know if you've ever seen that old film, really good. It's got sort of like all these like tubes where everyone travels from A to B through these tubes. It's very similar to what was in The Mandalorian. And they kind of had little other nods to other sci-fi things during this episode. But they turn up, they walk in, and who's sitting there behind the table? It's Jack Black and Lizzo. And basically it threw me right out, because I'm sitting there going, oh look, it's Jack Black and Lizzo. And they're not really characters, they're just playing themselves. And Lizzo, Grogu loves Lizzo, so he jumps in her lap, and Lizzo takes care of Grogu while the Mandalorians are sent on some side mission because the droids are all malfunctioning and going wrong, and they want the Mandalorians to sort this out before they can go off and meet up with the rest of the Mandalorians on the planet. And so they go on this mission, they meet Christopher Lloyd, he explains the situation. So here's another famous cameo. Big fan of Christopher Lloyd, by the way, but here he is on the show as some guy in charge of the robots, because no one does any work on this planet. Although they do, they say, oh, no one does any work on this planet, but then they meet up with people who are working, but I don't quite understand what was going on there. But he's saying, okay, so can you help us out with the malfunctioning droids? So they find out what's going wrong with them. It turns out it was Christopher Lloyd that was making them malfunction. He was a separatist, and he wanted revenge somehow, because he thought that Count Dooku was such a great man and wronged, and this was his way of getting revenge. And they thwarted his plans. So it was kind of like a Scooby-Doo episode, really, where he was behind it all along, and those pesky Mandalorians caught him out. So that took up most of the time of this episode. This sort of goofy, pointless story, and then they sort of have an afterthought and go, oh yeah, we've got to get Bo now to meet up with the Mandalorians on the planet, and let's sort all that out. So in the space of, I think, what was left, about 6 minutes, she meets up with Axe Woves. They have a fight, and she wins, and she's now saying, right, now you all have to follow me. And they're like, well, you know, we would have followed you if you hadn't lost the Darksaber and you didn't challenge Din Djarin for it. And he goes, oh yeah, well, you know, a few episodes ago where I got captured, and I got the saber taken off me, and then Bo-Katan come and saved me, and she got the saber. She's the rightful owner. Here she is. Here it is, Bo. Here you go. And I'm thinking, maybe you could have given it back to her and told her all this before you did a fight to the death. You know, before she did a fight to the death and almost died in that. Might have been handy to have given her the Darksaber beforehand. But no, he decided to wait until after she'd had that fight. As for Din Djarin, he really hasn't done anything in this season. He's kind of right back to where he was at the start of season 2. He's a member of the Children of the Watch. He's not able to take his helmet off, and he looks after Grogu, and that's his character, and that's it. And it's mostly, when it has concentrated on the Mandalorian, it's been about Bo-Katan. No complaints. I think Bo-Katan's a great character. Big fan of Kate Sackhoff. But you're going to make a show called The Mandalorian based on, and you have Din Djarin on the posters and on the front. You know, it's kind of a little bit of a bait and switch, isn't it? When it's not about him, because, you know, he's a fan favourite, and people would like to see some progression with that character. But and I think a Bo-Katan, if they'd have said we're making a Bo-Katan show called Bo-Katan, I think I'd been all for it. Yeah, great, fantastic. But you know, they've done it a little bit by stealth. And I'm not, as I said, I'm happy with Bo-Katan getting as much screen time as possible, but even that's limited to all this other nonsense that they keep going on about, you know, like space pirates and Doctor Pershing and now this city of malfunctioning robots. It's rather than concentrating on the main story. So yeah, fingers crossed that things are going to get better, hopefully. Ahsoka's going to be really good. Maybe it's because Dave Filoni's concentrating on Ahsoka more, and he's kind of he's not so involved in Mandalorian that's dropped a little bit in quality. That's one theory I have. So who knows? But that's my thoughts on the show, guys. Disappointing, and we've got 2 episodes left now to actually tell a decent story. Well, you know, they're running out of time, so let's hope they can pull something off. I'll catch you later.